The tragic story that just broke a couple hours ago. We've been waiting on details for it about this shooting. You may have heard at the hockey rink in Pawtucket, a father shot his wife and 3 kids in a horror family dispute. Now, the thing about the story is that we've not gotten any details on the shooter. And when that happens, you start to question...
Start making assumptions.
Yeah, what was going on with this? Now, of course, following this, we have no details. They've not released any information. If this was like a white male, they would have said right away, like, here's the person, here's the name. The online rumors right now are that this was a father who had maybe like left his family or something, but was transgender.
Yep, there's pictures.
But is any
rumors.
of this corroborated?
No, nothing's corroborated.
The fact
yet.
that it's that vague
still
almost
just
makes it seem guilty.
That's why I'm bringing up, like, the reason we've been sitting on, like, I've been sitting on this, like, waiting, like, I don't know if we can actually report this, because other than saying a tragedy happened, we don't know much. There are tweets going up that are uncorroborated of a man. I'm not going to show because we don't know that this is the actual person. But Turtle Boy says sources are reporting the person who set up a hockey game in Pawtucket was a transgender dad. I'm not going to say the potential name. It's going to be a popsicle headache for some people, but he appears to be a diehard Trump supporter who's been warning other conservatives on Twitter not to badmouth trans people. Just yesterday, he warned Kevin Sorbo and Alex Jones that transgender people are going to go berserk if people keep bashing men like him. I've not seen any evidence to confirm that this is the individual. I don't know why people are assuming that it is, but a lot of people online are saying it is, but that doesn't mean it's true. That being said,
because they wanted
but here's the issue with the Canada shooting. It turned out that the internet was completely correct. These initial reports that it was a transgender mass shooter, when they said woman in a dress, it was in fact it was a male.
Yeah.
And so I suppose what we can opine on our stories like this is, what is it, Coulter's Law?
Coulter's Law?
Yeah, Coulter's Law is if a news report does not mention that, if they don't give the identity or background of the perpetrator, you know it's some kind of minority group.
Yep. That's what Ann Coulter says.
Right, because
pretty reliable.
Because the media will
always
they'll always tell you if it's going to be like, if it's a white male who did it, they'll just say it.
Yep.
They got no problem. If they don't tell you, then you have to wonder what minority group it might have been.
Yeah, I mean, this is likely the situation. I don't know about political affiliation, but I don't think that really matters if it's a trans person. Again, this is all still up in the air. There's no concrete.
But isn't it weird though?
Because there's
7 out of the last 8 shooters have been trans shooters.
It's I don't think it's weird at all.
Yeah, but I'm okay.
Flavor of the.
I know what you mean. It is bizarre though. You don't think it's weird at all. I know.
Yeah, we kind of thought so. No, but I'll elaborate in a second. But there's photos I'm not going to show of an individual who looks like a middle-aged man who's trans at a hockey rink, which appears to be the location in question. I don't know for sure though. So until we get better corroboration, I'm not going to show anything. But no, my point is, the reason why I think we're seeing so many of these mass shooters being trans is because people who are suffering some kind of like psychotic derangement, you go online and you're told by everybody that the pain you feel is caused by being transgender. This is the solution to everything, right? We hear it over and over again that when a teenager is depressed, someone says, maybe you're trans, and then they get fast lined through this process. So the issue is not that the mass shooters are trans, but that people predisposed to violent, deranged tendencies are being told they're trans and they're going for it.
Yeah, and I think it shows that you're out of touch with reality if you do think that you can actually change your gender. Because, if you can change anything or ethnicity, like, you can be half white and half black. Like our, ethnicity is a spectrum, right? You can be half whatever, but you can't be half male and half female. So there's no spectrum. It's binary. It's yes or no. And I guess you could say there's people born intersex, but I would just say they've, mutilated genitals. So it's just, if you think you can go, a man can become a woman, you're actually retarded. And they even say that, no, I'm not even kidding. They diagnose most of the trans people that have autism. So I think that's a huge correlation too.
Females.
Yeah.
The report was that like a majority, overwhelming majority of transgender young women, young females, have autism.
We talked about this.
So what's happening is you've got these young people who are undergoing some kind of typical DSM-5 mental disorder, and they're told the solution is gender medical, therapy or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. The instances of bulimia and anorexia have plummeted, and the instances of trans men has risen accordingly. So it's a lot of it is likely just body dysmorphia, at least with women. That when it manifests as in men, it manifests for different reasons. But with women, it's very likely that it's all body dysmorphia. when they're young, they're going through a lot of changes in puberty and stuff, and that's a really difficult time. And then you couple that with bringing them to a psychologist that has been indoctrinated with this kind of BS, and so they start pushing it on kids. We were talking about one kid that was 15 when she transitioned socially. She started dressing like a boy, and then 11 months later, they actually gave her surgery. And it's insane, but the fact that a doctor would do that to a 16-year-old, that's insane. But this is all like part of the basically the medicine.
Okay, wait. I think we've got some more corroboration. Let me see if I can find this.
Well, I would say everybody has like a little bit of body dysmorphia, because like if you really think about it, Phil, it's like there's bigorexia where you want to be really big. There's anorexia. So it's like we know these people are mentally ill, and I think we have to blame the parents for enabling this.
It's confirmed. We got it. This is NBC 10 saying that, let me see if I can find the, Dan Janig reporting it was a man dressed in women's clothing.
Yeah.
That he targeted his family members at the hockey game. So it's looking now like this is, the photos may or may not be confirmed, we don't know, but it does look like at the bare minimum, a man in women's clothing killed his family, according to NBC 10.
Yeah, to pick up what you were saying, Alex, the particular case that I'm talking about, the mother actually testified because this child won a $2 million lawsuit against the doctor and the psychologist. But the mother felt like she was being coerced. She brought her kid to the psychologist, and the psychologist was like, "Okay, this is what it is." And the mother was like, "Hold on." And then the psychologist was like, "No, this is actually what it is. You have to affirm this, et cetera, et cetera." So as much as there are definitely parents that push their kids into it, there's also a total industrialization.
The they literally say that the kid's going to self-harm if they do this.
Because part of it is because they get paid more money to do procedures. They get paid. The pharmaceutical companies make money off the lifetime of drugs that the kid has to take if they
said that at Boston Children's Hospital that they're lifelong patients.
Yeah. So it's a disgusting situation made even more horrible because the medical professionals that people are supposed to trust are actually pushing this on children.
Wow. Let me just read a little bit. They say NBC 10's Dan Janig reported, citing a law enforcement source, a suspect was a father who may have been dressed in women's clothing and that he intentionally targeted family members who were at the hockey game. Conclave said police were not involved in the suspect's death. It appears from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but we are going to investigate fully. The police were not involved in that. So according to rumors circulating on X from witnesses, this individual came in, shot his wife and then kids, and when was tackled by a bystander, pulled out a gun and shot himself. And there are photos of an individual who is clearly transgender, and they're saying this is the person in question. Other rumors are saying that the individual in question, social media account, was a Trump-supporting far-right, quote-unquote far-right trans person, but who was largely critical of the right for being anti-trans and threatened to go berserk. So this is wild.
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter what your politics are. If you have this mental disorder, you have this disorder.
You know what the issue is for a lot of these people is that with body dysmorphic disorder, there are people who, no matter how fit they get, look in the mirror and they feel like they're not fit. Something is wrong. There are dudes who are so jacked they can't itch their back. You ever see the video where they put a Post-it note on this bodybuilder's back and he can't get it off because his muscles are too big? And he's like, oh man. But there are people like that. I'm not saying that guy, but there are people who look in the mirror and they see themselves scrawny, so they just keep going, keep eating. Same thing with anorexia. So the problem is, for these people who are suffering from gender dysphoria, no matter how many times they look in the mirror, they're not going to see the right thing. It's not an issue of them being the wrong gender. It's an issue of them having some kind of self-identification issue that anyone can experience in a variety of ways. There are people who there was one famous story where a guy knocked the jack out from under his car so it would crush his arm, because he felt that he shouldn't have an arm because he had body dysmorphic disorder. And so he went to the doctor and said, you need to remove my arm. It's not part of my body. And they were like, you're wrong. So then he crushed it with his vehicle so that it would be amputated and he could finally get off. There are people.
You remember Rich Piana?
Who's that?
The famous
I do,
YouTube
yeah.
bodybuilder. He was so famous. Look him up. He's a meme now, Rich Piana. But he would actually inject silicone into his muscles. And
right.
Yeah, you're talking about
and that was one of the reasons he died.
Synthol.
Yep.
Synthol, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least he like worked out. You ever see
He did, but I mean,
the
that's a
Indian dudes who
mental
do
disorder.
synthol?
Like he was already jacked. He didn't need to,
Right.
put that into his muscles.
Yeah, but synthol,
He
like,
died from it. How old?
Well,
he
he
was
just had-
46.
I thought he died from something else.
He had like a heart attack.
Dehydration.
Yeah.
But he just didn't take care of himself very well.
Well, because a lot of these guys, when you want your muscles to be visible, you have to dehydrate yourself. Because the truth is, everybody's got a six pack. It's just a question of how much fat is on top of it.
Correct.
And so for a lot of these guys, you see like in the movies, they have their six pack showing, like some superhero movie, and they're like, look at me. Yeah, they don't drink water for the day or whatever.
Yeah.
They get real dehydrated,
to
and then they lean
fast,
back.
probably.
Yep. Yeah, I was reading, I think it was Chris Hemsworth said he was eating like several pounds of chicken and fish per day to maintain the mass, because you need to keep eating the protein. Otherwise, there was a funny incident where Jason was Jason Momoa, is that his name?
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Momoa. He was on the beach, and they said he was looking pudgy, and it was like, no, he just looked normal. He's a very fit guy. He was in between movie shoots, and he looked fit, but you couldn't see his muscles or anything. And so the assumption from these paparazzi people was like, oh, wow, look how fat he is. And it's like, no, that's like a normal body.
Well, that's like
a
Paddy the
healthy-
Baddy, the UFC fighter, gets like 35 pounds fatter right after his fights, like literally
Oh,
instantly. Yeah.
Or after his weigh-ins, you mean?
No, well, he gets a little bigger after weigh-ins because he probably, rehydrates, but like he's just famous for getting really fat in the off season and losing it all right before.
You know what they should do for the weigh-ins? They should they should give both people the same IV bag.
So that way they have.
Oh yeah,
some,
that
like,
would kind of.
fluid in it.
Well,
Well, because you're both going to gain the same amount of weight, but stop being dehydrated and killing yourself.
that guy
as you
falling was bad.
Which one?
Just recently, look it up where they were live on the air and the guy fell behind
UFC?
him. Yeah,
At a
UFC.
weigh-in, yes.
At the weigh-in, it was a super viral video.
Because he passed out, right? Yeah. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.